trying to knock the barn over. Okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I get mine from Steam anyway, so I'm not sure what the deal is, but I have, yeah. And it's only started happening recently. I think since the 1.2 patch, every so often the game just hangs up completely and then dead. So I'd like to see that particular issue fixed. Everything else I think is working fine. I'm getting to grips with the weeds. The weeds only have a trigger. They're not a random thing. So you don't end up with weeds halfway through the season or 10 minutes before the crop goes ready to harvest, which has been a major issue of mine if playing base game in 19. You sort of, okay, everything's fine, there's nothing on the field, it's going to be ready to harvest tomorrow morning, and then bang, oh, I've got weeds all over my field and it's ready to harvest, so I can't do anything about it. I've just got a 15% yield penalty because game reasons. For 22 they are definitely triggered, and it will tell you if you go out and cultivate a field or subsoil the field, it will tell you there are weeds, they are growing, but you can't do anything about it yet because they're not visible yet. I'm guessing you could possibly go out and spray herbicide on the field. If you do that, you take an immediate 5% hit to your yield. So you kind of want to avoid herbicide. Did I say herbicide before? You kind of want to avoid herbicide. It's a 15% hit having weeds. It's a 5% hit if you use herbicide. But if you use a weeder, you're fine. The only issue I've found with weeders is if you're playing one-day seasons, weeds can grow 2 stages overnight. And the example I had, I didn't plough the field, I cultivated a field, and then I seeded it. And both events created weed, or both of those created a weed event. And I got medium weeds and small weeds grow overnight, and I went out with a weeder and I only pulled up the small weeds, which restored 5% of the yield penalty. So then I checked, and you know how, what is it, when you go to this and you can see there's weeds on the field, there's needs ploughing, or there's the multiple stages of growth, and you can tell how far they've grown by how dark green it is. That's now equivalent for weeds, and what it tells you, or what it shows you, is the smallest stage of weeds you have. So if you have small weeds on the field, and medium weeds on the field, and large weeds on the field, it'll tell you you've got small weeds and you can fix that with a weeder. It doesn't consider, we're going to 42, it doesn't consider the bigger weeds. It's on auto, that's on manual, and change the application rate. K is more, N is less. Okay. So yeah, you don't. If you take their word for it that you've only got medium weeds on the field, and there's you've only got small weeds on the field, you only kill the small weeds, not the medium weeds. But if you realise there's medium weeds, yay. Because as soon as I weeded that portion of the field, it says, oh, you've got medium weeds on the fields now, and they need a hoe to remove, not herbicide. So good, we can still use a mechanical thing to do it. But when you go to the store under weeders, you've got sort of, this is a weeder, and it tells you at the top this information: weeders. This machine removes weeds and improves the condition of field by creating furrows. But it tells you if it's a weeder. One device in the weeder section is a hoe, and that is what you need to deal with the medium weeds. So really it's probably best just to buy the hoe, just in case you end up with medium weeds on the fields unexpectedly. I think if you play more days in a season, so if you did a 2-day season or a 3-day season, the weeds would grow slower, and so you'd only ever end up with small weeds if you catch them immediately. I think because I'm playing with 1-day seasons, I got 2 growth stages of weeds on my fields unexpectedly. But obviously I went off, I was leasing the weeding equipment, so I leased a hoe, so more expense. But that I was able to use on the parts of the field I had already weeded, and was able to pull out all of the weeds, and then continued on to the rest of the fields that were covered in weeds, and restored the 15% penalty that I got for having weeds. So weeds are not a difficult thing to work with. Similarly with stones, I was using, what is it, the subsoilers. And subsoilers are confusing, I'll give them that much. This one gives a cultivated finish and creates small stones. This one creates a small, what's it, power harrow type finish, and but I think it still creates small stones as well. But I was using the create fields with cultivator mod, and that Kun subsoiler, if you create fields with it, creates large stones in those portions, but small stones everywhere else. So I could roll the field to eliminate the small stones, but I've still got a couple of lines of large stones where I joined the fields, multiple fields together. So that's a little bit of a thing. I mean, it's fine. I ploughed up a farm track, so there's probably large stones on there. There's probably a load of gravel in there as well, because it was a gravel pathway. But it's annoying because I don't want to have to get a stone picker. Now, as far as stones go, they don't affect your yield. They affect your repair costs, but not on the tractor. I have no idea if it would affect, if this field was covered in stones and I was using this kit, would the stones actually injure anything? Potentially no, because nothing's touching the ground. But if you're sowing or seeding a field that has stones on it, the seeder will take 10% more wear damage. So let's say you seed a field and it's 5 percentage points of wear for seeding the field, you'll get 5.5 because of the rocks. So it's not actually that significant. Now, the tractors don't take damage. I'm not sure that rollers take damage from small stones, because obviously that's what you're supposed to do. However, you are supposed to roll a field after you've planted it to get the bonus there. So your seeder is going to take 10% more damage seeding a field with stones, but once that's done, roll the field, get a 2.5% yield bonus from that, and you've rolled all the small stones in, so yeah, problem eliminated. I do know as part of the 1.2 patch, unfortunately, that created more stones. That just put stones everywhere. And so, if you had a game save from new and installed the 1.2 patch over it, then all of a sudden pretty much every field had large stones on it. I don't know if it had effect if you had stones turned off, but they were all over the place and just looked unsightly. But lots of stones for you to pick up. As far as the stones themselves are concerned, I don't think they're worth. You're gonna need to rent or buy a stone picker, but you're never going to recover that cost with the stones. So I don't know if it's I don't see it's never picking up stones is never going to be something to do just to make a bit of money on the side. They're just not worth it. And I think from what I've seen of the lime production facilities, the amount of lime that 1,000 litres of stones make, and the rate at which you go through lime, again, it's probably not worth buying the production facility, and it's not worth taking the time out to generate stones and put them out so that you can make lime from them, because it really doesn't make much of a difference, I don't think. Now, one person to look up, Farmer Klein did a how to edit for your own personal use a production facility. Some modder had produced a production facility that produces forage, which isn't much use because cows eat TMR, not forage, and you can't. And there's no clear way to remix that forage to become TMR that production facility creates. So he just, as an example, took the mod and edited it so that it was producing TMR. I think the forage production facility had been set up to use grass, silage and straw, and I think about 2,000 of each, and he edited it to use 2,000 silage, 1,000 hay and 1,000 straw to make 4,000 litres of TMR, which is the normal. You throw that into a TMR mixer, and that's usually the approximate percentages you use. And so how to do your own production facility? You could probably make it, edit the production facility to produce pig food, although pig food's rather more complicated than a production facility would normally allow, unless you just say, oh, my pig production facility uses sorghum, potatoes and canola only, and will make you pig food. That's fine. And maybe throw in some wheat there somewhere as well. So it's very easy to set up a production facility that does stuff. You could download the lime production facilities and edit what they input and how much lime they output to make it a little bit more reasonable to make your own lime from rocks. You could make seed, you could make fertilizer. It's very difficult. Problem is he did stress, do not put these personal edits out on the mod hub or on any other download site, because the mod itself is not yours. You didn't create the building assets or anything else. All you've done is edit what building does. And that's fair enough, but for your own private use, you can tailor a production facility. Kind of like that idea. But as I said, yeah. And then if you can figure out how to make, a commodity that is a pallet of wine, you could then make a wine press. Input grapes, output pallets of wine. And obviously, like I said, I don't know how to create the asset. Obviously, it needs a physical representation of a pallet, and then you also need to figure out how to get pricing into the game, which is probably a table somewhere. But adding additional production from base game commodities shouldn't be that much of a difficulty thing now. I mean, you could even edit the grape facility as is. Well, you couldn't because it's not a mod, but if you could take the grape facility, turn it into a mod, you could make the grape facility produce raisins, grape juice, and potentially add another recipe for wine. Using 4 stack, we're at 95%. This has gone quite quickly. Ooh. And the tanks are nearly empty. So yeah, I think that was the other mod that's in FS19 that I said has basically been done away with, is the workshop tabber. Because you can now access all pieces of equipment from the repair thing. So I like there's a lot of sort of what I call quality of life mods that I use frequently, like the workshop tabber, like the vehicle enhanced driving mod. And there's a couple of others as well. Oops, there we go, we're done. And it's really nice that Giants has now included them in the base game. The entrance is over here. We'll do that, we'll collect that, and I am going to take that contract. Maybe. Well, it certainly appeared there, so we can do that one. So, yeah, there's a couple of things like that that's sort of been a surprise. I mean, obviously they hyped that, Seasons is going to be included in the base game. It's not quite what we're used to, and I have found actually that I am skipping a lot more game time than I do in FS19. It's much easier it will be much easier to keep a season rolling along. At the moment I have crops growing. I'm not going to have any crops ready to harvest for 9 game days. And so I've got to skip through those 9 game days. The problem is my sheep need feeding every single day. So, let's do this. liquid fertilizer is in the front tank. There we go. Stop rubbling. Go forwards. But because animal pens, that tab, I'll sell that. And oops. What? Exit. Not sure what happened there. Oh, is the front tank isn't in the checkout zone. There we go. And we will sell that 4,000. Wow. And then I am going to buy crop protection. That. Yes, narrow tyres. Let's go 32. And that's going to cost me over here 80. A fair penny. Back to there. Fertilizer. Oh, the multiple, yeah, I can buy many of the same thing. Not surprisingly enough, the fertilizer and the herbicide. But seed pallets, you can buy multiples, which, again, really nice. And that's not a mod I've actually used in 19, but it's now base game in 22, so yay giants on that. So we don't have a pipe down here, so don't think they've given us this Kverneland sprayer in as a mod. I'm not sure how I feel about that particular aspect. We've had so much stuff added that was in the base game in 19 or part of a DLC that Giants have added as a mod, and that means more mods that you need to download in order to play. I mean, last week I think we've had the Tucano 580 we got. We had a bunch of the Kverneland stuff. Actually, Vicon is probably a better. We got one of those, we got one of those, we got one of those, we got one of those. We got the fast bale. But they're all... I think the mowing set might be combo, but everything else is a separate. So rather than being one pack, it's multiple pieces. And that's more stuff I have to go through when I'm setting up a new game save. It's more stuff I have to go through in order to check off what I want to play with this time. Okay, I'm guessing this is down a bit. Oh yeah, we can get a few things on the back there, like another row. That off the ground, we'll actually be able to do things. I should not start from this end, I'll tell you that now. Because for this, and one of the reasons why having a four-wheel steer, so something like a telehandler, is so much easier to use with stacks of bales like this, is that you can use that aspect of four-wheel steering to clear an adjacent stack. So if I go over here, with a normal tractor I would come up here, and there's actually a gap there, so I'm not going to have too much of an issue with this. I can go in, I stab those. I can tip it back a little bit, but if I'm still worried I'm going to clip that to the left of me, if I turn the steering wheel left, it's going to swing the bales out to the right so they don't rub against the stack that's adjacent to them and knock it all flying. You can do that with a telehandler, you can do that with a JCB or a Lindner. But other tractors, you've only got that front wheel steer and can end up in a royal mess. Okay, that looks like 46,000, so I'm not going to make it anymore on there. Put that down. And let's run back to our Valtra. Try not to get run over by the car. So yeah, I've been using more of this type of setup in Farm Sim 22, so I'm getting a little bit more comfortable using a trailed sprayer. Primarily because it carries a lot of liquid fertilizer, and with the ability to do 3 contracts at a time, it just... I'm going to cheat. It just makes sense to be able to put 4,000 litres into a trailed tank and then go out to the field and get it all done. I like now that contracts are sorted by type, so I can, they're listed active, complete, and then you've got in alphabetical sequence fertilization, cultivation, ploughing, spraying, and if you decide I want to do a fertilization contract, you just go to the fertilization section and see what's there, as opposed to 17 and 19 trawling through a list of jobs and trying to figure out, are there any fertilization contracts? Oh no, well, okay, I guess I'll skip that. That looks like a field ready to harvest there. So possibly barley. And traffic is so much faster in 22. Another yay. Although there are a lot more, what's the word for it? Inconsiderate. Kind of like real world drivers at times. But we're able, with this setup, I can come out here with 4,000 litres and just blitz a field. So the only problem with this is it's kind of big. Okay, let's line up the view on the back of the tractor at least.